Hi, I'm Piper.
And I'm Sawyer.
And we're we're from the Santa Barbara Middle School Teen Press, and today we're here with...
Okay. Let's say that again?
And today we're here with...
Oh, Nick Welsh.
You joined the Independent back in 1983 as a general assignment reporter.
That's a long time ago, isn't it?
How did that evolve to writing the Angry Poodle column and working as an editor?
You want to know the story about how I became an editor is pretty funny. The guy who was the editor when I started working here, his name was Bill Swislow. And he hadn't gone on a vacation in a very long time. So he went on a vacation. And then he came back to work. And it was so toxic for him to come back to work after being on vacation. He said, I quit. And he left. And so there was like 2 or 3 of us who might be the editor. And we were all asked if we wanted to become the editor. And we all said no. And nobody wanted to be the editor. So this put Swislow in a really bad spot, and he wanted to quit. And he said, so he came and he told all of us, he said, the board of directors, which we had at that time, is going to decide which one of you is going to be the editor. And if you say no, you're fired. So normally going from a reporter to being an editor is a step up. But in this case, it was like if you didn't take the job, you're going to get fired. And so, fortunately for me, somebody else decided he would try it. He lasted about a month, and then he quit. So that's how I got to become editor.
What has been your favorite part of your job?
I get to talk to people all the time.
Do you have a least favorite part of your job?
Trying to be organized.
What piece of writing you've put out made the biggest impact?
You know, that's a really hard question, and I don't know that there is any piece of writing. It's kind of like going to the beach and asking which wave made the biggest impact. And it's really, people always want like the big story, or like the cover story. And a lot of times cover stories are big, they're impressive, they come, they go, and people forget them. But what I think makes more of a difference is the stories which sort of, you take an issue, whatever it is, and you just sort of, a little bit here and a little bit here, and you don't shut up and you just keep writing about it. And it doesn't make big impact, but it does move the needle a little bit.
Did you always know you wanted to be a journalist/writer?
Yeah, I knew I always wanted to be a writer. And I was lucky that way, because a lot of people don't know what they want to do and they don't know what they like to do. But I always knew I wanted to be a writer, but I knew that if I didn't have a deadline, I wouldn't ever get around to doing it. And I always find some reason to put it off. So that sort of forced me into journalism, because if I didn't have a newspaper sort of structure, I'd never get around to writing.
And if you could assign us one homework assignment, what would it be?
Oh, Lord have mercy. That is... Okay, I would like to know how your family, wherever you came from, got to Santa Barbara, and what was the story of where they were beforehand and what made them come here, and that would be the assignment.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Oh, well, that was it. Any other questions?
Anybody else think of it? Here's a hand.
What inspires you to write the Angry Poodle column?
Oh, okay, I'll tell you that story. I hated that column. So there used to be 2 papers, and we competed, and we really hated each other, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other paper, the one that we were competing against, the one we hated, had the Angry Poodle, which I just thought was really an irritating, insipid, stupid column. And so then when we were told, well, Nick, we're going to merge, and so the 2 papers merged, and And I said, okay, well, if we got to do that, I mean, it made sense from a business point of view, but I said, but we have to kill that stupid angry poodle. That's the worst damn column. And so there was a guy who was writing it at the time, and his name was Rich Alcott, and he was a genuinely funny guy. And the problem was he was more of a writer than a reporter, and when he wrote things, you couldn't tell if he was making it up or if it actually happened. And when you're reading a newspaper, you're supposed to have a pretty good idea. This actually happened, and this is this guy's opinion about it. But these facts actually, these things happened. There was, and with him you couldn't tell, and so he got fired. And so I wound up getting stuck with it. That's how I wound up doing it.
Do you like writing the Angry Poodle?
You know what? I am really, yes, actually I do. Because it allows me to express myself in a way that a lot of people in the newspaper business don't get to do. I get to write in a more relaxed, conversational, personal style, and about things that may or may not be going on in the news right now. And it gives me a great deal of freedom, and allows me to, communicate in a really personal way. And it's fun. But it's really a lot of work. People think you just sit down and go, I put more work into that than a lot of the articles I wind up writing.
Has the design of the Angry Poodle always been the same, the look of it?
That's a good question. No. But it probably needs a facelift. It's been about 100 years since it's had that look, and I think this is the third or the fourth. But it's been a long time. It probably needs to be changed.
How did you come upon the name The Angry Poodle?
I didn't. And I should know that story, but I don't really know how they came. There was a bunch of people with the other paper. We just called them the other paper, and they thought that would be a good idea, and they thought that would be funny, and somehow it just stuck. So you guys better, if you want to do some research and you really want to dig down, that would be the other assignment. Find out the origin of the name.
When your camera rings, it's a problem.
The Angry Poodle used to be anonymous,
Yeah.
and at some point you started putting your byline on it. Why did you do that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So that was who's the Angry Poodle? Oh, that was a big secret, right? And I remember there was a guy at the time who was the news director of KYT newspaper, KYT News, the TV station. And he was convinced it was Marianne Partridge, who I think you guys have interviewed. But when there was a place in town called the Fig Tree. It's still there down by the railroad station. But at that time, a bunch of homeless people hung out there all the time. And all the homeless people in town knew exactly who the poodle was, and they knew it was me long before I ever signed it. So if I ever walked down there, they'd all start barking at me. And so it was this. It was the world's poorest kept secret. But there was an article. I came out as me. Really, coming out as a female dog. This is a whole other level of coming out. And imagine how my children deal with that. Is it your father, the Angry Poodle? But there was some political group in town that was taking out full-page ads. They wouldn't say who they were. And so I found out who they were, and I thought, well, this is just a little too weird, beating up on these people for hiding behind an anonymous name when I'm writing a column under an anonymous name. So when I wrote that piece, I signed my name. And I've been doing it ever since. All right.
Any other questions?
Okay.
So what are you guys going to do with it?
your time.
Oh,
Yes,
oh,
thank you for
Thank
your
you
time.
for your time.
oh, and can I read this before you press it? Okay, that's the question that's the trick question. People always go, can I read it before? And the answer is always no. You never let people read it. And every now and again I get weak and I say, okay, and I always regret it. So if you ever do journalism, if you ever try it and people say, I just like to read it, if I just come up with some reason, but just say no.
It's not
Be strong.
finished.
Yes, there
It's not finished.
you really go far.
We just record everything, so then,
What's that?
We just record everything,
Yeah.
so then.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, well,
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for your